The shock and the promise. The year is 2025. America finds itself at a turning point. President Trump's tariffs are not just an abstract policy or a line in the news cycle. They are a force actively reshaping the global economy and the lives of millions of ordinary citizens. But here's the question that cuts deeper than any political slogan. What is the real cost of these tariffs? Not for politicians in Washington, not for the billionaires on Wall Street, but for you, your family, your paycheck, and the dreams you've worked your whole life to achieve. For decades, America has been haunted by a stubborn trade deficit, by factories closing in once thriving towns, by jobs lost to automation and outsourcing. Tariffs were introduced as the bold cure, a weapon to level the playing field, to force foreign competitors to respect America, to finally put America first. But what if the true enemy isn't abroad? What if this war, instead of being fought against foreign rivals, is being waged quietly against the very people it was supposed to protect? Stay with us, because over the next few chapters, you'll see how tariffs ripple through the most powerful currency in the world, the US dollar, and how they affect the groceries in your cart, the car in your driveway, the job in your community, and the balance of power across the globe. Chapter 2. The Domino Effect of Tariffs. Tariffs have been a part of American history since the 18th century, but this modern version is different. In Trump's first term, tariffs on Chinese goods reached 25% on over $300 billion worth of imports. Steel and aluminum faced tariffs of 25% and 10% respectively. The result? According to the Tax Foundation, U.S. GDP dropped by 0.21% and nearly 166,000 jobs were lost. By 2025, the policy has intensified. Tariffs now touch not just industrial goods, but cars, electronics, clothing, even some food imports. The direct economic logic is simple. When tariffs reduce imports, American demand for foreign currency shrinks. That strengthens the US dollar. On the surface, a strong dollar sounds patriotic, but in practice, it's devastating for exporters. John, a soybean farmer in Iowa, knows this better than anyone. For decades, half of his crop went straight to China. In 2017, China imported over $12 billion in U.S. soybeans. By 2019, after retaliatory tariffs, those imports fell by more than 70%. And now, in 2025, with tariffs higher and the dollar stronger, John's soybeans are simply too expensive. Buyers in Beijing sign contracts with Brazil instead. This year alone, John's exports dropped 30%. He cut his payroll. 3 workers he's known since high school are now unemployed. The diner down the road feels it too. Fewer workers buying lunches, fewer families eating out. The local mechanic, the hardware store, the church collection plate, all of them shrink. What began as a government policy becomes a chain reaction of local suffering. And it's not just John. Across the Midwest, farmers lost $28 billion between 2018 and 2020 due to tariffs, a crisis so severe that Washington had to issue subsidies just to keep them afloat. But subsidies are temporary. Communities hollow out. The Peterson Institute for International Economics warns that continued tariffs will lead to widespread reductions in output and employment, especially in agriculture and manufacturing. Wharton's forecasts are even starker. A long-term decline in GDP of 6% and wages falling by 5%, worsened by inevitable retaliation from America's trading partners. Chapter 3. The Hidden Bill for American Families. But tariffs don't just hit farmers and exporters. They reach into every home in America. According to the Federal Reserve, tariffs cost the average household $1,200 to $1,500 more every year. That's not theory. That's real money leaving family budgets. Maria, a single mother in Texas, feels it every time she shops. Her grocery bill is now $60 higher each month. Her son's sneakers, made in Vietnam, cost $20 more. The family's old car, imported from Mexico, now costs thousands more at the dealership. Maria works 2 jobs. She doesn't follow trade policy, but she knows this: her paycheck buys less than it did before. David, a factory worker in Michigan, sees the pain from another angle. His plant once thrived producing auto parts, but when tariffs drove up steel prices, the factory couldn't compete. Orders slowed, overtime vanished, layoffs began. David survived the cuts, but at a lower wage. He's still employed, but he feels poorer, weaker, less secure. Jessica, a college student in California, carries the burden differently. Her tuition relies on part-time work and a fragile budget. But when the laptop she needed for class cost $300 more because of tariffs on Chinese electronics, she had no choice but to borrow more. For Jessica, tariffs don't look like taxes. They look like student debt that will follow her for decades. Tariffs were sold as a way to punish foreign producers, but in practice, they are invisible taxes on American consumers. They hit low-income families the hardest because those families spend a higher share of their income on imported goods. Tariffs don't just raise prices, they erode opportunity. Chapter 4: The Global Chessboard. While Americans pay more, the rest of the world adapts. China retaliates with tariffs on American agriculture, slashing demand for U.S. crops. The European Union raises barriers against U.S. technology exports. Brazil, once a competitor in agriculture, steps into America's place, exporting record amounts of soybeans and beef to China. India expands its manufacturing base, attracting companies fleeing U.S.-China tensions. In 2024, Brazil officially overtook the United States as China's largest agricultural supplier. In 2025, European companies signed multi-billion-dollar deals in Asia, while American firms were sidelined. What was sold as America First now looks increasingly like America Alone. The global chessboard is shifting, and while America fights to protect its markets, others are seizing the opportunity to grow stronger. Chapter 5: The Courtroom Battle. The fight isn't just economic, it's legal. In May 2025, a federal court ruled Trump's tariffs unconstitutional, declaring that trade deficits are not a national emergency and that only Congress holds the authority to impose tariffs. If the Supreme Court upholds the decision, corporations could demand tens of billions in refunds, and trade negotiations would be thrown into chaos. For Wall Street, this means volatility. For Main Street, it means uncertainty. Employers hesitate to invest. Businesses delay hiring. Families face unpredictable prices. Imagine trying to save for your child's college fund while stock markets swing wildly because companies don't know what tomorrow's trade laws will be. That instability is a hidden tax, one paid in anxiety, hesitation, and lost confidence. Chapter 6: Looking Toward 2030. What happens if tariffs stay in place? The CEPR predicts that by 2030, the U.S. could have 2 million fewer jobs than in a no-tariff scenario. Inflation could run 1% to 2% higher every single year, slowly eating away at paychecks. The dollar would remain strong, but exports would weaken further, and America's share of global trade would shrink. Competitors like China, India, and Brazil would strengthen their positions, not just as exporters, but as leaders in supply chains. The Made in USA label, once a symbol of strength, could become rarer on the global market. But there is another path. If tariffs are rolled back, trade flows could normalize. Families could see lower prices, businesses could expand hiring, and America could reclaim its leadership in global trade. The decisions made in the next 5 years will decide which future becomes reality.
The final reflection. Tariffs were promised as shields to protect American workers, to rebuild industry, to restore national pride. But behind the promise lies a hidden bill. John, the farmer who laid off workers. Maria, the mother cutting corners on groceries. David, the factory worker earning less. Jessica, the student drowning in debt. They are the true faces of tariffs. Not statistics, not headlines, people, families, dreams. And so the question remains, are tariffs truly protecting America or slowly dismantling the prosperity they were meant to save? This isn't just an economic debate, it's a moral one, a test of fairness, resilience, and the future of the American dream. If this analysis gave you clarity, don't stop here. Hit the like button, subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Download our free guide in the description for practical tips to shield your budget in uncertain times, and join the conversation in the comments. How are these tariffs affecting you, your family, your community? Thank you for watching. The global economy may be complex, but knowledge is power, and power is the first step to protecting your future.